about a close friend? Someone you can count on in good times or bad? And now think about how you met that person. Maybe it was back at the playground or recently here at work. You see, 4 years ago when I made my 3,000 mile from my hometown in Philadelphia to here in Seattle, I felt how friendships changed. Some faded away. I have a lot of new friendships here in Seattle. And then a few months ago when I made my big 1 mile move from Capitol Hill to Belltown, it was a much smaller extent, but I also felt how things changed. I'm seeing different people regularly, I'm getting dinner with different people, and this really intrigued me, so I did what I do best, and I Googled it. Turns out there's several different contributors to how we make and maintain friendships, and physical proximity is actually a really big one. Maybe it contributed to the friendship that you were just thinking about. Proximity is so relevant in how we make friends that there's actually something called the proximity principle, which is our tendency to make friends with those who are close to us. This principle came about in the 1950s when 3 psychologists studied the MIT freshman dorms. After a year, they interviewed students and found that 65% of students mentioned that their close friends lived within the same dorm, despite there being other dorms nearby. 41% of students talked about being very close friends with their next-door neighbors. And the results of this study have since been replicated in many different environments, like neighborhoods and classrooms, all showing the effect of proximity on our friendships. This study was particularly interesting to me because here's a picture of my 2 best friends from college who I'm still so close to this day. Sam was my next-door neighbor in my freshman hall, and Zeke lived 3 doors down from me. What's interesting about the proximity principle is that even in today's digital age, where we have the internet and the ability to connect with, honestly, whoever we'd like, just think about who you're contacting using social media. It turns out the majority of social media interactions still occur between people who are in close physical proximity. Maybe that's why a famous actor once said, "Contrary to general belief, I do not believe that friends are necessarily the people you like best. They are merely the people who get there first." But why does this happen? And I think it's a lot related maybe to the mere exposure effect. This is another psychological phenomenon, and it's the idea that the more that we are exposed to something, or in this case someone, the more we're going to like them. There is an exception that if you dislike someone, continuous exposure is only going to make you dislike them more. There's a great talk on how to cope with that a little bit later. But generally, we like familiarity. We like those continuous interactions with people. Like, think about the characters in Friends. They're next-door neighbors, they're always meeting up at Central Perk Cafe, and they're getting that chance to be up to date on each other's daily lives and form those close friendship bonds. There's a part of the proximity principle that I just think is maybe convenience. We're all very busy, we're all a little bit lazy, and I think that maybe at the end of a long day, it's sometimes just convenient to grab a drink with whoever's down the hall or across the street from us. For a while, I lived in an apartment building here in Capitol Hill, which I would have called like an adult dorm. It was myself and like 12 friends all living in the same building, and that totally affected who I was getting to know and spending my time with during that time. And so why does this matter? Well, I think that sometimes when we better understand our natural tendencies, we can be more intentional about the actions that we take. So a few examples. Maybe if I'm a manager and I care a lot about the team dynamics on my team, maybe I'll embrace an open workspace, because the proximity principle tells me that mere exposure is going to create friendships among my team. And I might even care about who sits next to who, because even that can affect who becomes friends with who. Or maybe if I'm moving to a new city or a new neighborhood, I'm being really intentional about thinking where I'm going to go and if I want to be close to the people that I care about. And you might have heard the saying that we are the average of our 5 closest friends. Well, if that's true, and if our friendships are so affected by the environments that we're in, let's all make efforts to spend time in places where we're going to be with the people who we want to be or who we want to be friends with. So take a moment, meet your neighbor tonight. My name is Rupi Sureshkumar, and if you're equally curious as me and just want to talk about why people do what they do, definitely contact me. Thank you.